All right, everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Eynelys Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a fantastic show for you guys today that I'm really looking forward to and I'm really excited about. So first, just want to remind you guys, we do officially have our Eynelys Show website up now. So you guys can go to eynelys.com to get all the info that you need. You can find us on all the platforms that we're on. You can, donate to the show. You can also subscribe to our email list so that you can find out when we have shows like this. So go ahead and do that and hit that follow, like, and subscribe button. It's totally free and the best way to help the show. So I'm really excited about today's show because we are going to be talking about PanQuake, which is a new type of social media based on blockchain that is being created right now. And so I want to introduce my first guest. Her name is Taylor Hudak. I hope I'm saying that properly, Taylor. She's the media director for PanQuake. Taylor, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. And our second guest, I think everybody knows, she is at this point a regular on the Eynelys Show. She's a comedian and the executive producer of the Dore Show. Everybody, please welcome Stef Zamorano.
It's nice to be here, and I am going to definitely subscribe to
Yay!
the show.
Subscribe. All right, guys. I'm really excited to have you here because one of the big things that prompted me to want to have this interview was Graham Elwood was demonetized. And it wasn't just him, it was a bunch of lefty accounts shortly following Donald Trump being removed from Twitter and all of this other censorship that was going on. And so right now, it does feel like there is an onslaught of attacks against freedom of speech, against independent media. We saw clips of CNN being genuinely concerned that some YouTube shows had more viewers than them. We're watching lefty shows be demonetized and having their content taken down. We also saw things like Jordan Sheridan's footage that he took of the insurrection being taken away from him, but then being allowed to be used on big platforms like CNN. So all of these things coming together, and including the last year that there have been so many tensions and Americans have really been waking up to who holds the real keys to power in this country. I thought it was really important to have this conversation because we need options. And so, Taylor, that's why I'm so happy to have you here today. Could you tell us a little bit first about you, who you are, your background, and then how did PanQuake come about and what is PanQuake?
Well, I'm glad that you do bring up the existing climate when it comes to independent media and when it comes to censorship and free speech online, because it is becoming increasingly more of a problem. And this is not something that's new, of course, since information has been able to be printed and made available to the public on a mass scale. I'm talking, a very long time ago. There has been efforts to silence people and to censor information. But we've seen within the past year, it has gotten so much worse throughout 2020. And as you said, unfortunately, so many independent media figures are being demonetized or deplatformed. And unfortunately, it seems that is going to continue. And while it's so important to raise awareness about what's happening, it's also really important to also offer solutions and deliver on those solutions. And that's exactly what PanQuake is. So PanQuake, of course, is a new social media platform, a new short messaging service, but I also view it as a lifeboat. And it is a lifeboat that can help us paddle away from the censorship and big tech manipulation that is really prevalent in our lives right now. So PanQuake is seeking to provide solutions to so many of the problems that I'm sure the people right now who are watching have experienced. They've been censored, maybe shadow banned, or even suspended on social media for absolutely no reason. So we are seeking to solve these problems with PanQuake.
Thank you. And how did you become involved with PanQuake? What led you to say, this is something that I want to be a part of?
Of course. So PanQuake was actually launched by renowned WikiLeaks activist Susie Dawson, as well as Chief Technical Officer of PanQuake, Joe Booth, two New Zealanders. So Susie has been toying around with this idea, I think, for quite some time now. And I'm a close associate of hers, and she's also a mentor of mine, in fact. And so I talked to her about this project during the early stages of it, and she reached out to people on social media and was asking them what bothers them about the outdated platforms that exist today and how it made them feel. And many people felt, of course, censored. They also felt manipulated and controlled because essentially with these platforms, the user becomes the product. You are essentially giving these platforms the ability to take your data and sell it to other companies. And so one thing about PanQuake is we are not selling your data because we are not even taking your data. When you sign up for our platform, which I encourage everybody to do so, you could go to panquake.com, get signed up, and you don't have to provide any personal information. You don't have to provide a cell phone number or an email, none of that. We are not looking to objectify our users. This is a user-funded model that we are subscribing to, and not the outdated client-server models that exist on the other platforms and that the other platforms are using. So another thing I want to point out too, and I want to thank you for allowing me to speak about PanQuake here, is that our ability to deliver on this product really depends on the financial support that we get from people in the public. So if you can, we would love for you to go to panquake.com, of course, get signed up, and then also donate, because we do have a fantastic team of developers who are working on PanQuake. And the sooner we can fund this project fully, the sooner we can provide you all with the ability to use this platform. And just to name a few people who are working on this project, it includes ex-NSA Technical Director Bill Binney, as well as the founder of the Yale Privacy Lab, Sean O'Brien, with Yale University, of course. And we obviously have so many high profile and well-respected supporters and endorsers of our product. Jimmy Dore, of course, is supporting us, Graham Elwood, Lee Camp, Chris Hedges, Peter Lavelle, and several others.
And Eynelys Garcia.
Yeah.
I'm totally on board because I really like what you guys are trying to put forward. And that's something that we've learned, isn't it? That if something is free, you are the product. And that's a problem. And so for a long time now, we've kind of switched over to this model where everyone wants stuff that's free, but we are now learning at what expense, and we're now learning what the repercussions of that are, of just giving our data away. So Stef, I wanted to bring you in on this because obviously you guys at the Jimmy Dore Show have been long advocates of, raising independent media voices and making sure that they're heard, standing up for whistleblowers like Assange and Snowden. So first, I just want to get your take on, were you guys, I know that we knew this was coming, but were you guys a little taken aback when Graham was demonetized? And, are you scared that you're next? Like, how are you feeling while all this storm is kind of blowing around you?
Well, first, I thought, I want to say how, Taylor, I so appreciate your explanation of PanQuake and the journey that you're taking. I thought I was on panel today to be the opposing point of view censorship. I mean, it makes sense to have common sense censorship, and I was taking notes, Taylor, and I was thinking, first off, don't CEOs know better? Like, don't they, like, if I objectify me, Zuckerberg, objectify me, Bezos, objectify me, Twitter, please objectify me, right? And sell my information, exploit me, and help me become enslaved to capitalism, right? Like, it took me, I watched that film. What's that film that they just did? The social media film that everybody's like, oh, I'm so scared. Yes. Oh, I'm so scared of Facebook. And then a second later, nobody unsubscribed there. How many people, now here's the thing. When I was watching it, there were some problems with that film, by the way, that there were some glaring issues. But they said at one point the guy from Pinterest was there. And I never knew. I love Pinterest. I never knew. I was like, when I watched it, I'm like, how do you make money on Pinterest? What are they talking about? I didn't know there was a tab that I've never struck. Like, where can I buy this product? I looked at Pinterest as my own on-the-go dream board. That's how I looked at it. I never looked at it like I was going to buy something. But it all comes down to commerce. It all comes down to, hey, you're going to interfere with our bottom line if you make access available. I mean, my God, how is the internet during this pandemic? How does that not become a public utility? Why do we have to worry about little kids trying to access trying to access their education while their parents are in dire straits trying to make money? So like, it just goes to that whole idea, like the internet is water. That's what it is now. And that we're not making that accessible. And, going back to your question about Graham Elwood, at first I'm like, finally. No, I wasn't. I know.
That man
he likes to talk.
Society, and why didn't we censor him sooner? That's what that's what we're really here to talk about.
Well, it is disturbing when you hear grown-ups that are younger than me that, yes, censor them. I'm outraged. Yes, I'm sorry if you don't like Alex Jones. I'm sorry, but he needs to be censored. And it's like, okay, you're going to go down this slippery slope. There's already laws that make people accountable for what they're saying. There are already laws. There are already laws in place. And it seems very easy to make that argument about somebody like Alex Jones to, deplatform, cancel. But when a CEO, when a company can cancel your president of the United States, that was that moment. Like, how did I feel about Graham? I'm like, well, we're just in the fire. We're right. We're next in line, everybody. If they can do that to the president of the United States, a company, who's next? And it's interesting that right now what if they do this down the line to somebody like AOC? Then are you going to have a problem with it? So there's a real disconnect for people that say they're educated and think it's okay to censor. I mean, it's you went to college to learn it's good to censor? That's what you went to college for? You're a fucking journalist? My goodness, my goodness. So I think what had happened with Graham, Jimmy turned to me and we found out on Monday morning. So it happened to Graham Sunday night, and Jimmy talked to him. And one thing that we walked away going, wow, he is so calm. He is so steadfast about it. And we know he's not on drugs. We know he's not like taking the edge out, like, oh, I gotta smoke something or inhale something or pop a pill. No,
He's been brought out by those big kale smoothies.
Right?
No.
And that would just make me sick. But seeing platforms asking for other platforms to be censored, oh my God. I don't like your take on this. I don't like your take on that. Shut them up. Fucking shut them up. Shut them down. I think it's so troubling. And I know all of us are very aware of Julian Assange. I know your audience is aware of Julian Assange. What do you expect? Right now, there is a man being publicly tortured. And mainstream media doesn't open their show. I'll have to listen to Brian Williams. 28th day of Joe Biden in office. But God forbid they talk about the tragedy of what's happening right now in public view. And that's the real issue. And that's why this is happening.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And it's scary, you know. And that was one thing I was going to say was, we all know, you know, the question that we all really want an answer to, does size matter? You know, do you think that the reason they haven't fucked with your show is because it is so large? And I mean, Graham has a large following too, but it's different. He has like, you know, 70 or 80,000 followers. You guys have almost 1 million. So do you think that that's the reason that you haven't been touched?
We were wondering about that, but there was a guy, I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know the YouTube channel, but it had over 730,000 subscribers and they shut it down.
Wow. Okay. So the next
size does not matter, ladies.
Yeah. Apparently size does not matter. That is the answer of the day. Size does not matter. Taylor, I wanted to ask you about, first, can you direct people to some resources if they're interested in learning more about the technical aspects of PanQuake? And then can you give us just like a general overview of why is it a good thing that blockchain is involved in this? And, you know, how does it ensure our transparency? As much as you can tell us, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I do want to bring up a few points that Stef had brought up. We see people being demonetized and their livelihoods being destroyed. We see people being completely deplatformed, taken off of Twitter, taken off of YouTube and these platforms. It is causing real world harm. And we see people like Jack Dorsey and these other CEOs talking about how they're so concerned about certain speech or tones of speech online causing real world harm, when in reality they are actually causing harm and they're interfering in people's relationships too. Not only are they destroying their ability to survive and make an income, but they're also unfollowing people from their friends' accounts. And so what happens is it's very real, is that people notice that someone unfollowed them and maybe they really didn't, and they don't know that. And so it causes this feeling of resentment a little bit, of course, because you don't know that you're being manipulated and that big tech is interfering in your follows, likes, and retweets. So that is why we are using blockchain. I'm glad you bring this up. So blockchain ensures security, peace of mind, and also just a sense of awareness and transparency of what's happening on the platform. So there, of course, will be moderation on the platform. Illegal conduct and activity is not permitted on the platform. But any moderation that happens will take place on the blockchain that anybody can see, and it can't be removed. So the best way to explain this is pretend that the blockchain is a notebook, and you and everybody in your network has a copy of this notebook. You can write in it and you can see it, but you can't remove anything. Once you write in it, it's there. You can't, so to speak, unwrite. So it's there, and people will be able to see exactly when a moderation occurred. They'll have an explanation as to why it occurred, by whom, at what time, and exactly what that moderation was. And this will all be present on the blockchain. And that is how we ensure transparency, because this entire model, the PanQuake model, is all about the user. It was created with the user in mind. And we want to enhance people's relationships, not destroy them like they have been destroyed on the existing platforms.
Yeah, and I mean, people don't realize, they say, oh, it's just Twitter. Well, first of all, I left Facebook years ago because I was like, oh, they're selling my data and trying to lie about it. And so I left them years ago. And then finally, a few months ago, I left Instagram and WhatsApp. I was like, I'm done. I don't care if I need Instagram to get, like, Twitter. Twitter's the only thing I'm on. And now when PanQuake comes out, I'm planning on moving to that. I'm trying to work my way into Rockfin, because these aren't just social media platforms anymore. I mean, this is a modern way of communicating. And you're absolutely right, because I have been unfollowed from accounts that I was following. And I'm like, why am I having to follow this person again? And then I'll see my Twitter count and it'll drop like 15 people like within, and I'm like, why though? Those can't all be like spam accounts or whatever. So, I mean, this is real and it's happening. Steph, have you guys experienced, can you talk a little bit about what you guys, she's like, are you fucking kidding me? Of I know you guys have, but I'm trying to be, have you guys experienced, I don't know, anything like this? And what are the struggles that you guys have had to deal with this constant suppression of independent media?
Taylor brought up the idea how it affects relationships. So if you're running a business and your business model is dependent on this access, that's intense. So when there was that apocalypse, when the ad apocalypse that happened, everybody switched to Patreon, and they decided Patreon would be an access and an avenue. And we're fortunate enough that we have a web designer that was able to get people that could go straight to our website and join there. So they don't have to use PayPal, because we know PayPal has shut down people. And Patreon has, I think, is it the Last American Vagabond? I think something happened with his Patreon account? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he also lost his Twitter completely, but they may have gone for his Patreon as well.
I thought so. Rockfin was shared with us, I guess, over 2 years ago. And it's a different platform, and everything is different. And we run a small business. I mean, we're jackasses running a business, and now we have to worry about what we say. I mean, the whole reason why we turned on a camera on Jimmy Dore was he had something to say. He just had, his manager, Alex Murray, said, why don't you just turn on a camera and talk to it? And that's a weird thing. It is a weird thing to turn on a camera and not have that engagement like he's used to being on the road. So we're a bunch of comics doing the best we can, figuring out business the best we can, making good decisions, making bad decisions. But the best decision that we've ever made were to be educated about what's going on, to have a guy like Bill Binney on our show. When Bill Binney came on and the things that he shares, that there are definite ways to give people privacy. And it's not harder. It just doesn't allow the government to impose on your privacy. So I think what's hard for us is, things can get tense. And I remember having a conversation, and I think what you have to do, and it's an awful thing to say, is, don't the Buddhists contemplate death? Don't they do that? Don't they, you have to contemplate it, right? And so I think you have to contemplate, what if you lose everything? If you lose everything, what if you lose everything? Jimmy almost died in 2006. I felt I almost lost everything then. And anything that we got back is gravy. So to me, my husband's alive, I'm alive, my family's alive. I can live with that right now. Right now, I can live with that, okay? But what they're doing to people during a pandemic, that they deplatform them, that they cancel them, that they shut their access to a livelihood, like no other country. There are other countries that are giving people money and helping them during this crisis. But our country can't do this. So yes, there are stresses in our business life. They're weird stresses. It makes us look at our country and go, really? This is happening in our country? Censorship? Really? It's so Orwellian. It's awful. And we have alternatives. And, alternatives are like Zoom show. Alternatives are like Rockfin. Alternatives are like PanQuake. I think there is an epidemic, and you listen to Eckhart Tolle and he talks about people are so obsessed with social media, obsessed with how many numbers did I get? What did I lose? But he's talking about the people when we're talking about our numbers, we're talking about, we've had 858,000 people subscribe to our channel, and it has stayed stagnant for months. It has barely moved. and talk about Twitter. I follow certain people. I bet we all follow each other. You're never in my feed. Jimmy Dore is never in my Twitter feed. Graham Elwood is never in my Twitter feed. People that otherwise have like-minded, I don't know, like whatever, chutzpah. You're not in my Twitter feed. I have to go look for you. And guess what? It's all those numbers. There's one guy on the social media, that film, I forget which guy it is, but I saw him on a PBS special, and what he said once upon a time was, when you look at a video, and they did this analysis of teenagers looking at videos, and if they saw more likes, they were more likely to like that video themselves. That's nefarious. They know what's going on. So if I don't show the true numbers, then you think you're still alone. You still think you're isolated. So there was years ago MySpace, and some dude in the comedy world cracked that he figured out that they were fucking with numbers on MySpace. So there's always a manipulation involved, and for us to think there's not, and for us to not to think that, for people to think there's nothing nefarious about censorship, it's crazy. Did I answer my second question?
You did.
Did I win a prize on anything? It's okay. It's all right.
You are the grand prize winner. Here's a pony. Here's a unicorn.
I love unicorns.
Okay, so I want to talk about ads because and I want to talk about what the best way is to be able to see the content that you want to see, because that's something that I also really like that I'm hearing from PanQuake is no ads, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but no ads. And you're actually going to get to see the content of the people that you follow and care about, because as Stef just mentioned, you go on Twitter and most of the people it's funny, the people whose tweets I engage with the most and care about the most are the ones I see the least. So I don't understand why that happens. So
right.
Can you talk a little bit to us about that, Taylor?
Yeah, so again, that is just manipulation by big tech in your timeline. Oftentimes it happens to me as well. I'm seeing messages that I don't even agree with, or ads for things that I'm not researching. So a lot of it doesn't make sense, but we are going to be an ad-free platform, and we are not taking any corporate money. And that's something that is so important, because therefore we're not beholden to the special interests of these corporations. We are completely a user-funded model, which again is why it's so important that if you can, that you please donate to PanQuake by visiting panquake.com. Any amount of donation is so appreciated and so needed, because again, we are a user-funded model. We decided among all of us, there was absolutely no way we were going to be taking money from big businesses and corporations. So in order to use our product eventually, once it's up, there will be a $5 fee each month to use PanQuake. Now, for those who may be less fortunate and cannot afford the $5 a month, we will provide compassionate accounts, and also you can gift accounts to people who may want to use PanQuake but just don't have the means to do so. So we are definitely thinking about people who perhaps don't have the luxury of being able to pay for PanQuake. But again, if you can spread the word about PanQuake, it's very important for us. And again, we are solving so many of the current issues that people are experiencing on social media, as I mentioned earlier, and we're using powerful next generation amplification tools. And we, of course, have a fantastic dev team who is working on that. You are going to be seeing the content of the people who you are following, you're subscribed to. You will see their content. There will be no manipulation within our platform. And also too, we have some unique features where you will have the ability to reach all of your followers with a single click. So we're using some time-saving measures the functionality allows that, and it just reduces your amount of time on our platform. In fact, the existing platforms that use some outdated technology have it designed for you to have to search for certain keywords or to search for the content that you would like to see, because that way they could show that people are using their platform for longer periods of time. So you could also promote users that you like with one single click, and you could even post content without even being online. And again, for the specifics about the technical aspects of this case, if you are somebody who, or not this case, this product, if you are somebody who is very interested in the technical aspects of the functionality, then I would point you to our Vimeo account. That is PanQuake, and we have our launch event as well on there and some other content where you can become familiarized with all of the aspects to this product. I'm so used to reporting on Julian Assange's case that case just comes out of my mouth naturally. Yeah.
No, that's great. And then the last thing I want to ask you about.
Can I just say really quickly, Taylor, I think the PanQuake website is great.
Yeah, I like
it. Right now, when you were talking, I wanted to look at it, and I just want to tell everybody right now that it's very user friendly, and it's very self-explanatory. I love it. I'm excited. I just tweeted it. Anyways, there we go.
And it is a really nice website.
It's great. And Jimmy just spoke earlier, left a message for Susie Dawson, sent her an email because we took this week off a little bit. And so that we'll have her on to highlight and talk about PanQuake. So look for that'll be happening too.
Yeah, thank you guys for the support. It's really appreciated. We need it. And it's important that independent media figures support PanQuake and talk about it, because this is not going to be discussed on mainstream news. In fact, mainstream news is going to do everything they can to keep you away from us. So I'm calling on everybody watching right now to be our media team, be our marketing team, speak about this product, spread the word with your friends and family, and again, donate if you're able to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So yeah, Taylor, the last thing I wanted to ask you about today when it comes to PanQuake is, obviously I know, and you've mentioned that, when the product gets delivered is dependent upon, how fast we get donations, and that'll kind of adjust the timeline. But generally speaking, I know that you guys just broke one of your fundraisers, your first goal that you had. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and then what this second goal is about, and just like a general idea of when things are going to be coming fully together?
Yeah, so the reason why I say that it really is dependent upon our financial support is because we do have, again, a team of fantastic developers. Like I mentioned earlier, ex-NSA Technical Director Bill Binney, as well as Sean O'Brien, the founder of the Yale Privacy Lab, and so many others. In order to get them to work on this product or have it be done in a more efficient way, again, people have jobs outside of the activism that they're involved in. So being able to financially support them, the people who are actually creating this product so they could dedicate more time to it, is really essential and can help us get this moving. It could have gone a different route. If we were to take corporate money, probably could have launched this a lot sooner, but that is not at all the route we want to go. So while we are asking for donations and you do have to pay for our product, it is for a good reason. You are not going to be used and manipulated by our platform, and you are going to be in control of your social media presence, which unfortunately is not the case today. And there is so much interference with people's communications beyond just social media, but even with different texting apps that you could have on your phone or on your various devices, there's interference there. And I think that there's really no indication that's going to stop. It's just going to get even worse. And so it's really important that we could deliver on PanQuake as soon as possible. And hopefully, you asked for more specific time. Hopefully within, a few months, if we see some progress, then we'll be able to speak more about that.
And you guys just passed your first fundraising goal, right?
Yes, we did. We did. And that allowed us to host in Iceland, which is another important factor. We are not hosting in the United States. We are in Iceland, where they do have laws that are much more friendly to us and what we're trying to accomplish.
No kidding. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're on your second on your fundraising for your second fundraising run for your second goal. And again, why don't you tell people where they can go if they want to donate right now? And the minimum you can donate is $5. So for example, I'm unemployed, so I don't have a lot of money, but I went and I donated $5. So you don't have to donate a lot of money to make a difference. If you can donate more, that's great, but every little bit helps, right?
Exactly. No matter how much you're able to donate, your donation matters. And then you also are backing our product. You could also leave a message about what, how you feel about the product and what also you expect and why we need it so badly right now. So again, any amount of donation is important, and also just spreading the word. As I said earlier, sharing that link on social media. I think the link may be, we've had some shadow banning on social media, of course, as we expected. So that's why it's so important that we have so many people sharing this link. And you could go to panquake.com. That is PanQuake.com.
Awesome. Stef, I want to hand the floor over to you. Before we go, any last thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
Donate to PanQuake. I mean, that's really just seems like our option, ladies and gentlemen. And if we expect that these corporations are going to exploit us, and they're doing it for free, right? Here you go. I sign up for free. Boom. So there's a cost to that supposed free access. And so I think obviously, Taylor is a great spokesperson to come on to give us all the ins and outs, the details. You sound so smart. I'm like, oh my God, my goodness, I can't get over how I'm like, oh my God, I can't remember anything. And you're doing great. So PanQuake. I mean, that's really it. PanQuake. I mean, there is, if you're panicked about, and you should be, I mean, the whole idea not to be nervous. I mean, we took this week off because you get so caught up in it and you have to disconnect, and you do have to disconnect from social media at times. You do have to refresh and walk away and not take all that crazy world, because it's a small world. But that small world still needs to be protected. And we still need to have, I joke on our show about common sense censorship. I mean, my God, that anybody believes it, that there's such a thing as common sense censorship. It's just no censorship. We had a wonderful gentleman, Daryl Davis, who came on, and he was talking about how he reached out to the Grand Wizard of the KKK. And he reached out to him for years, and they became friends. They became, they became humans. They humanized each other, and they reached across, dividing lines of culture and philosophy. And they came together, and the Grand Wizard stepped down from the KKK, left it. And so if we shut all modes of communication, that lets them divide us. And that's what they want. They want us to be divided. They want us to be divided. And so this is a way to divide us. And what did they expect? The people that supported Donald Trump, whether or not, however you feel about Donald Trump. But he had people that supported him. And so you're going to disenfranchise, 70 million? I don't know what the number is, but you're going to disenfranchise these people. Maybe you should figure out why these people feel the way they do, because they're our brothers and sisters. They are in our family. So it's all about dividing us more than anything. And if you silence one group and you celebrate that, you're next. And that happened to one of our guests, that a website, the guest was an editor of a website, and he was okay with people being deplatformed. And the next 2 weeks, his own website
Isn't it the World Socialist?
I can't remember.
Something?
I can't remember.
I know who you're talking about.
But I think you're right.
Yeah.
And they were vehement about shutting people's voices down. It's scary.
Yeah.
PanQuake.com.
Yeah, I watched that episode, and that is funny is, censorship is all fun and games until it comes for you. So Taylor, I want to give you the last word. Anything that you want to say to our audience before we close the show out?
Yeah, so I just want to say that while what we're experiencing right now online is unusual, again, the censorship that we've been speaking about, it is unusual, and it's happening on a broader scale, I would say. I mean, we're seeing average people who are online just losing their accounts because they said the wrong thing on social media. We are delivering solutions. There are solutions, and in times of hardship like we're experiencing now, it's important to always have solutions and have faith in that. And so I do want to point again, everybody, one last time, PanQuake.com. You will be so happy with what you're seeing. Our website does explain even more and reiterates the points that I was talking about on this show today. So again, do get signed up. You will not regret signing up and joining our community, and spread the word. And I look forward to speaking with you again. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you guys have your next, big update, you are always welcome back on. You have my contact info. Taylor, Stef, thank you so much for being here today. You guys are amazing. Everybody, this has been the latest episode of the Eynelys Show. Please go to Eynelys.com and sign up for our email list so that you can find out when we're having interviews like this. Don't forget to hit that follow, like, and subscribe button, and share this video with somebody that you know so that we can help each other get educated. I am streaming in a bunch of places right now: Twitch, Odyssey, which is crypto. I found out about that through Graham. Trying to get on Rockfin. I have my show's still growing. Okay, my show's still growing. Trying to get on Rockfin. So yeah, we're going to be looking at these options, because the truth is, we're being used and abused, and not in the fun way, people. So let's come together. Let's share information. Let's get each other informed. This Wednesday, I will be interviewing a congressional candidate in California, Angelica Duenas. And the Saturday after that, it will be Christine Olivo, who is a congressional candidate in Florida. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. We will see you again next time.
Adios.